Well, I never get tired of that opening. Do you? That's from Wagner, I think, right? That is the opening sounds of the Johnny Torch Live program. If you're not aware, you are a part of it right now. If you're watching, even if you're not watching live, you are a part of the program, and we love you madly. Torch News Roundup today. We're going to do a little roundup, a little this, a little of that. Roundup number 260. This is Johnny Torch Live number 216. And if you don't understand the discrepancies between those two numbers, it's because the first year or so, maybe, I don't know, 2 years maybe, we did the Torch News Roundup as a recorded show. And then I started getting into the live streaming because it was a lot easier, less editing, less monkeying around with technology always makes life easier for me. And, we just decided to just snap on the camera, let the chips fall where they may. Welcome. It's a lovely Sunday evening now that spring has sprung here in New England. It's still a little bit on the mild side, but colder temperatures are going to be rolling in, and it's going to be that way until April. Welcome to New England, if you don't know the routine. The April Fool's Day blizzard is still something that we talk about around these parts. I think it was 2005. The memories are still there. Oh, so welcome into the show. If you don't know what we do here on the show, it's a live action extravaganza where we talk about pop culture. We talk about basically all the things that interest me. We don't talk about music often enough. I try to cover music on the show once in a while. We pretty much only cover what interests me in music, and that's that's few and far between this day and age. What's going on, the current scene in music. We have I did a video about ABBA's new record not long ago. I still haven't heard the whole record, but the two songs they put out as singles. We're going to be talking a bit about Genesis today, my favorite band of all time. But before we get to that, before we start getting to that, I want to implore you to hit like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. 303 subs. We kind of stalled at a certain point now. Around the turn of the new year, we got a bunch of new subs. It's kind of slowing down. I'd like to see some more subs. If you guys haven't shared the show, please do so. And of course, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. You got to help the algorithm here because I rarely get more than 6 views because I think YouTube punishes the live streamers. You have to have a lot more recorded stuff. And that kind of takes time out of my busy day because I'm usually too busy instead of working on editing a short form video, which I love to do, but I'm too busy doing The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Here it is in all its glory, the most recent issue. And we did a whole show about it last week, so I'm not going to belabor the point, of course, by any means. But if you haven't checked it out already, check out the last week's Johnny Torch Live program. We talked about it for nearly an hour. The series, the story arc that we're on now, the Family Jewels, we are wrapping that up with this great issue, in the final hours, which wraps up this saga, which we've kind of called it the death of Bullets Bourbon. Is it actually? Or does he find his way to cheat death, as it were? You'll have to find out when you check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. We are working on Bullets Bourbon number 10, so apparently I can't keep using that tagline, the death of Bullets Bourbon, when we're doing Bullets Bourbon number 10. But I'm finally started coloring the first page, and it is very exciting. I've been coloring this new character who is introduced in this story. And I was tempted to reveal him today, but I think we'll make a bigger buildup of it if we wait a little bit, and then we'll introduce this new character who's going to be in this next story fairly prominently. And it's an interesting character. It's an interesting story that we got coming up for number 10. We haven't disclosed the villain yet or any of that, so we want you to check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye number 9 first, preferably all of the issues in the series. But as I said, this one wraps up the Family Jewels storyline. This one takes place in a snowy, very cold winter And Bullets faces his destiny. He steels himself for what may be his final confrontation with criminal mastermind Carrot Top, who is his arch nemesis, the author of his destruction, as it were. So check that out. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you have checked it out. We have a couple of dedicated fans who, of course, have left comments in the past. But let me know what you think if you are a new reader and subscriber to the channel. I'd love to hear what you think. All right, before we carry on with any other business, I wanted to make sure, I don't know when's the last time we did this. It's been quite a while. Quite honestly, it's been quite a while. But I want to devote at least 10 minutes here to a mailbag segment. Mailbag, where I get to read comments from you, my loyal and cherished viewers. And I think we've done it probably, months ago now, the last show. So if I didn't read your comment, apologies. I'll try to do better and get more comments up in the live streams more often. But I'm just going from the past 3 or 4 weeks. These are the comments that we got in our mailbag section. This one says 3 weeks ago, Oscar000 writes, "You should have said no one does it better than William Hanna. And I love Spike Brandt's screams for Tom." This is, of course, in reference to the Tom and Jerry Meets Sherlock Holmes review that I did. Very popular review. That's the most popular review on my channel. I forget what it has now. It has probably about 30,000 views. Very popular. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's one of the earlier reviews I did. So, you could tell I was new at doing voice work and, very calm, quiet, and mannered delivery of the review. And now I just talk like anything. So, but I remember saying in that review that nobody screams better than William Hanna. If you watch those Tom and Jerry cartoons, the original ones, the funniest times in those cartoons is when Tom lets out a blood-curdling scream, usually in pain, but it's hilarious the way William Hanna does it. And I guess they have a new actor. Maybe that's who this guy is, Spike Brandt. I don't know. He doesn't have the oomph. And I remember saying in the video, they really should have spliced some old William Hanna screams into the newer Tom and Jerry cartoons, because he was hilarious, William Hanna, doing those screams. So again, thank you, Oscar000, for the comment. Next up, the Super Reviewer. The Super Reviewer, 18 hours ago, left a couple of comments. Nice to see that he's checking out. He's apparently a fan of my classic horror reviews, which, again, we haven't done them in a couple of years. I'm tentatively moving toward thinking of going back to that this year. Again, I don't want to make any promises, but I really enjoyed doing them. It's like a 10-minute review of a classic, usually Universal film. We did a couple. I think we did a Hammer film. Check them out. They're in the playlist. If you're interested in classic horror, basically stuff that's maybe 1960 and back. That's what we check out in the classic horror reviews. In reference to the Phantom of the Opera review, which that's also a very popular review on my channel. I think that was my second most popular review. Now it's third after the Wonder Woman series review. Phantom of the Opera 1941. The Super Reviewer says this deserves the sequel, and so does the 1989 one. I don't know what the 1989 Phantom of the Opera is. I know that the Andrew Lloyd Webber one came out in the mid-'80s. The movie version of that didn't come out until, like, what was it, 98 or something? Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. But thank you for checking it out, Super Reviewer. And the Super Reviewer, an hour later, also left a comment on our The Return of the Vampire review, which is the Bela Lugosi film. And he said, "Where in the heck is the footage of the full death you have a pic of here? The skeleton pic. Where is the footage? Pray they remaster and extend the film with it." Thanks for watching, Super Reviewer. I think that image is actually in the film. I don't think there's more to that scene. Possibly there is, but I don't think there's more to that scene. I think what they didn't show the full dissolving of the Bela Lugosi wax dummy in that scene. I think they kind of skip forward and they show it starting to melt, and then they show the skull. If I remember correctly, I watch that film every year, but I think that's what happens, and I think that's the images you're talking about. I think they're in the movie, if I'm correct. I think that's what happened. So thank you, super reviewer, and I think he's got his own channel, so check it out. Let's see. Rob D1 commented, "You didn't even show any of the art." Now, this is in reference to my classic comics corner review of Classic World's Finest. I did a review about the World's Finest uh, trade. It was basically a collection of the first. It may not have been in sequential order, but some of the first team up issues of Superman and Batman under the World's Finest moniker. And yeah, I admit I was lazy in that instance, and for the most part, I usually am when I'm doing classic comic reviews. I just kind of just show the cover and that's it. But I will take this criticism to heart. I think next time I do a comic review, I'll try to show a few interior pages. Again, I don't have the technology at hand to really give you a real great show when it comes to visuals. I just kind of use static visuals for the most part, but I'll take the criticism to heart, and hopefully it'll be up to your satisfaction, Rob. I am thinking of doing another classic comics corner review. I just got through reading Daredevil Visionaries 3. Of course, the Frank Miller penned saga, sort of the tying up the end of the Elektra saga. Tempted to do a video about that. I gave a few thoughts on Twitter, but I really should do a video for that too. So I'll see if I can get on that. And 12 days ago, we have Brianna Lee. Brianna Lee talking about my Wonder Woman TV show retrospective. She gave me a very lengthy comment, and I was very appreciative of it. It's a great comment, but I can't, for the sake of time, read it all here. I'll just read the first few lines of it. She said, "I loved this show as a kid. Rewatching it as an adult, it is a lot cheesier than I remember, but I enjoy it as a guilty pleasure. Honestly, the first season is my favorite because it was the most consistent in tone and story. I also love how it was a period piece and that they had her fight Nazis." Yeah, the first season, I think that was kind of brave too in that day to sort of set a TV show in the whatever it was, early 40s. I don't know exactly when they set the show, but yeah, as a period piece, because I think most people would have said, set it in the modern times. You don't want to really see Captain America mostly fighting Nazis. It's more fun to see him like teaming up with the Avengers and so forth. So it was kind of a brave move. But again, yeah, that show is a lot of fun. I still really enjoy it. I get a lot of comments on it. It's my second most popular video, and like I said, it really took off once Wonder Woman 84 came out, and I think people were people were hungry for the classic Wonder Woman. And I've always said Wonder Woman's one of my favorite characters. I really wish I could do I wish I could do the Wonder Woman movie. You know what I mean? I think I should probably do a video talking about it, because I've talked about it on Twitter a number of times, how I would do the Wonder Woman movie, particularly an origin. And I think the origin is very important, and I don't think it was done completely well in the original film with Patty Jenkins. And she did a good job, though. I mean, all things considered, but they left out a lot of important things, such as the contest and some of the family dynamics. I think could have been improved upon. So we'll talk about that some other time. But once again, thank you, Brianna Lee, for the comment. And we got one more comment here from the venerable Bilbo Baggins. Thanks for smoking your stuff and watching my videos, Bilbo. This is in reference to, I believe it was last week. No, the week before last week's show. It was the last Torch News Roundup, at any rate, where we were talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out pretty soon. Bilbo says about the trailer, "The parts with Ewan are great. The music and overall vibes from the trailer are so loud, though, that it makes it hard to take this as a serious deep dive into the character. Personally, I think it's a huge red flag to put the Inquisitors here. just really makes the threat of the Empire seem less threatening when you have these freaks going around with their awful lightsaber designs. Personally, mixed feelings on this for sure. Yeah, I agree. I agree to an extent. I mean, it's kind of difficult to, you know, this is sort of inserted in to canon. There's Inquisitors and so on and so forth. I mean, at least my conception of the Jedi Purge was that Vader led the stormtroopers, kind of like you see when they attacked the Jedi Temple in Revenge of the Sith. He hunted down Jedi after that, killed them. I didn't really ever take it that there was Inquisitors and these freak shows with these lightsabers used to go around and kill Jedi for the Empire. And so yeah, again, that's a little different than what I was expecting, but it could still work. We just got to keep our eyes on it. And I personally am giving this a chance. I know that there are a lot of people who have already dismissed it already because Disney Star was, quite frankly, isn't great, and we don't have a very great track record for them. I mean, a lot of people will say The Mandalorian was, better than average. Rogue One, better than average. Not too many people would really go on the bandwagon saying that they've got a great thing going. But thank you once again, Bilbo Baggins. And of course, like I said, I'll try diligently to read these comments that you leave in the comment section. Always happy to read them and hear some feedback from you, the loyal listeners. Thank you once again. And we will get on with the show proper now. It's showtime. And let's see, what do we have for our first topic? Our first topic comes to us, like I said, we're going to talk for a few moments. I know this is not exactly, fitting your expectations for a pop culture show, but my all-time favorite band, Genesis, it looks like it is the last bow. This is nothing particularly surprising, considering Phil Collins, of course, being in ill health for the past 10 years or so. Unfortunately, he can't even stand at the shows for long. He does the live shows that he's been doing in this last Domino tour from a seated position. And I hear an awful lot of folks sort of putting him down and, sort of bemoaning that, oh, Phil looks terrible and he shouldn't be doing this. I say leave him alone. They know their limitations at this point, and they know that this is pretty much the last hurrah. Let him go out on his own terms, please. And I think it was a great thing to do to actually give the fans a chance to say goodbye. Now, I'll try to stop short of a full-on rant, but of course, I had my chance stolen from me because the Boston Garden said you had to take the thing if you wanted to go and see the show. And I, of course, am not going to pollute my body with toxins that are unproven and, potentially dangerous to me. So I said, screw that, and took the loss, so to speak. So I'm not particularly happy about this, especially when I didn't get a chance to see the farewell tour. But apparently, and I'll see if I can bring up the copy here, Phil Collins took to the stage with Genesis for the last time on Saturday, March 26th. The 71-year-old drummer and singer performed with the rock band at London's O2 Arena, which was the last stop on the group's last Domino tour, which came after the band's 14-year hiatus. This is the thing that's the killer. If they didn't take these long breaks in between, they probably could have done a lot better. A lot more people could have seen them. Of course, it wasn't intended to be that long. There was the 2 years with the thing and all that. Phil, who performs the show while sitting down due to ongoing health issues, was on stage with his Genesis bandmates Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks throughout the show. The musician's son, 20-year-old Nick Collins, played drums in his father's place. He's been doing that this past tour. Phil told the crowd, "Tonight is a very special night. Of course, we're playing in London. It's the last stop of our tour, and it's the last show for Genesis. It's difficult for us to believe that you still came out to see it," he laughed. "I guess after tonight, we've all got to get real jobs." Now, reading that doesn't necessarily mean it's the last show ever. He doesn't qualify it by saying ever. There could be a one-off gig. There could be maybe another uh, very limited show run that they'll do, maybe of a dozen dates, in the future. But by all reasoning, this is probably the end, unless, like I said, some great change in the plan happens. This is probably the end of Genesis, my favorite band. Of course, they never came back and did another recorded album. I always wish that was going to happen. 1991's "We Can't Dance," a great album, on the heels of what is probably their greatest album, "Invisible Touch." And I'm going to monitor the comments for all these insane crazies who are going to come after me for saying that. But you know, Genesis, there's like two fandoms. There's the Peter Gabriel era fandom. There's the Phil Collins era fandom. I belong to the latter. I think it's better that we just segregate ourselves because there's nothing but acrimony whenever the discussion comes up between the two. But again, I just wanted to take some time to, you know, somewhat eulogize the band Genesis. Of course, a little bit of their history. They started with, of course, Peter Gabriel singing, and I don't have anything against Peter Gabriel, of course, nor the early Genesis years, but they're not quite my cup of tea. Phil, of course, became the drummer after the first couple of years, and Phil, of course, took over singing duties when Peter decided to leave the band in 1976, I believe. Phil took the band to loftier heights after that, and of course, that came with them becoming a lot more commercial. Phil started writing around the time of the Duke album, I believe, and started writing his own compositions, which of course sparked his solo career with Face Value, one of the all-time great solo album debuts. They performed off and on together in between solo projects. They would do a solo project, then they would do a band album, and then they do a solo project and do a band album all throughout the 80s. Of course, culminating with "We Can't Dance" in 1991. So after that, I think officially 95 is when Phil said that the guys wanted to get together and do something. He said, "Nah, I'm not coming back." He had a lot of marital woes and stuff during the intervening years. Um, they got another singer that they did one album with, Ray Wilson. It wasn't a bad album. I'm kind of conflicted on it because I think it was a pretty good album, but it really wasn't a Genesis album. You can't really follow up Phil Collins and kind of expect to have the same spark. It felt different. But then, of course, they put the band on hold until 2007, where they got together and did another their first reunion concert in quite a while. And after that, the another long stretch of nothing until they finally came back for this tour, which is the final tour. I didn't get to see it, but I did see the show. I think it was the Philadelphia show, or one of the Philadelphia shows. I know they've got a couple that they did. They did 2 or 3 nights. I thought Phil sounded good. He still has that great voice. I think, if anything, I think he has the issue that he doesn't have the energy, of course, now that he's, in a seated position from the whole show. But his voice was still very much there. Uh, Halfway through the show, they did like an acoustic set, which I think gave him a little more energy to sort of close out the show. But again, sadly, I think his voice is still there if they ever were to make another album and possibly maybe just do a couple week tour. There could still be a future for Genesis, but doesn't look likely. All right, so oh, we've got a friend in the audience here. Games, Movies, and Comics Are Us. Hi, nice to see you on the show. And of course, you want to sub to Games, Movies, and Comics Are Us. They got a great channel. I'm subbed to them, and I check them out quite frequently. So if you haven't yet, you want to make sure you do that. So yeah, once again, this looks like the last bow, the final bow, the final curtain call for Genesis. And thank you for many, many, many years of great music. Of course, you know, the greats, the great talents, they're all getting up there in age now. Phil Collins, Tony Banks, and Mike Rutherford. There's just nothing else like them. They are Genesis. All right, so moving on and along, we'll get into some of the stuff here that I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to hear about. Our next story, let's see. Uh, how's about this? All right. We've got more casting news for Madam Web. Madam Web, that's the Dakota Johnson film where she is apparently cast as Madam Web. Very different casting than you would expect for what is typically looks like a geriatric lady that is with sunglasses and in a wheelchair. But Madam Web has added Euphoria breakout star Sydney Sweeney to its cast. She joins Dakota Johnson, who'll play the titular character, in a movie that's quickly beginning to gain momentum. As is often the case, there's currently no word on who Sweeney will be playing. S.J. Clarkson is directing the movie from a screenplay by Morbius scribes Matt Sazma and Burke Sharpless. Now, hold on a second. Hold on a minute. I think maybe before we get too excited about this, we should see how Morbius does. They could very easily sweep this away, but they seem to be fast tracking it by casting some actors. So it might still happen. I don't know. I honestly don't know anything about Sydney Sweeney. She appears to be a very attractive young lass, but I don't know anything about her other than her name is getting thrown around a lot lately. And apparently she's very talented. And that's always a good thing when you're casting a movie, I suppose. Not sure who she's playing. Madam Web. I don't know. I know they're going to do another Spider-Woman project for Sony. I think Olivia Wilde is directing it. And so far, there has been no casting announcements made there. Some are suggesting this may be a different Spider-Woman. I don't think they're going to put a different Spider-Woman when they haven't even gotten the original Jessica Drew Spider-Woman out yet. This is probably, I mean, because they have the Nikki Carpenter Spider-Woman, and I think there's been 2 or 3 other women to carry that moniker. I don't know, but I would imagine it's going to be someone probably from the Spider-Man world. I don't know. Could it be Black Cat? I know there was a Black Cat Silver Sable movie in the works for a while, but again, that didn't pan out. They kind of brushed it aside, but it's possible. Maybe they're going to introduce Felicia Hardy here somehow. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Sydney Sweeney in the Madam Web film. All right, let's see. What are we up to next? All right, the CW has announced a couple of its shows coming back. Let's see. All right. Deadline reports that the CW has handed down early renewals to a number of its scripted TV shows. All American, Kung Fu, Nancy Drew, Riverdale. Riverdale's still going on? That's crazy. And Walker are among them. The 2 that will be most interested for comic fans are The Flash and Superman and Lois. Before I go on to the rest of the story, let's stop right there and talk about this for a second. The Flash, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Grant is only he's doing like a year at a time deal. He's not going to sign up to a." Well, that people were trying to say that he's like dissatisfied and he's playing his swan song. You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think Grant is more comfortable as the Flash now. He certainly appears that way to me when I see the way he's playing it than he did, several years ago near the beginning of the show. I think he's made the role his own. He doesn't really feel like he needs to carry the show anymore. Um, I don't know how to describe it any more than that, but it doesn't feel like it seemed like there was an emotional weight on him now. And now they're kind of pulling back and just doing like episodal television. They're not really putting this, you know, they're not putting him through the emotional ringer anymore. It doesn't seem like he's just like having fun with it. At least that's the way I feel when I watch this season. He seems to be having fun with it more now than he ever did before. So I think Grant will be around for a couple more seasons. Like I said, I don't see them ending the Flash any earlier than 10 seasons. Next year will be his ninth season. Maybe the 10th season might be the last, but like I said, I want to see them go past Smallville in the worst way. Smallville was the most overrated show. And in a sense, you got to be thankful for it because it kind of opened up the doors to more superhero television. A lot of people poo pooing the Flash. I even joked about this on Twitter that, people are really eager to tell you that they don't watch the Flash anymore. But the question is, of all the shows on the CW, the Flash is actually the most entertaining right now, anyway. I mean, I know they've gone through a couple of bad seasons, and I mean bad. But last season was so-so. This season, I think, has been pretty good. I mean, you got to grade it on the curve, I suppose, because none of the CW shows are really. I can't call any of them must-watch entertainment, to be honest with you. The closest maybe is Stargirl that I would recommend and say, well, yeah, from beginning to end, you'll probably enjoy it. Other shows they go up, they go down, they have a bad season, a really bad season, then they come back and they not too bad, and then Flash I think is more on the upswing for me. Superman and Lois is coming back. That's not a surprise either because of course Superman and Lois are only in their second season, so I on the CW you can go 15 seasons before there's any question if you're possibly going to get dropped. I'm pretty sure Superman and Lois are going to go as well another 8 or 9 years and possibly hit the 10-year mark. The only thing that would make them get canceled any sooner, I can imagine, is if either the cast wants to walk or if maybe there is a big budget Superman movie and for some reason the CW and Warner Brothers can't have a movie and TV show going at the same time. Very confusing the way they do that. Again, Superman and Lois this season has been pretty good. It's kind of hit and miss. I think last season started very slow, very boring, and then it kicked it into high gear during the second half. I'm hoping this is kind of going to be the case here because the show has been pretty good. They've mixed it up a little bit. Spoilers, but Bizarro has been a big part of the season, and that was kind of entertaining. And they're bringing back Lucy Lane, who is from the Supergirl show, Joanna Tatum Dwayne or whatever her name is, but she's good and it's good to see her come back. So it's been an entertaining season. I don't expect these two shows to go anywhere in the very near future. Now, the shows that are on the bubble, so to speak, not surprisingly, are Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman. Now, quite honestly, I really don't think either of these shows really need to come back. The only thing is, I think Legends deserves to go out on its own terms. I think they will. Knowing CW is they're pretty lenient with their shows. I think they'll probably afford Legends another season to wrap up the whole works. As far as I can remember, I think Katie Lotz is the only original member of the cast still. And some of it is not necessarily the actor's fault. I know the guy that plays Nate. Nate is leaving the show. I think he wanted to leave. Brandon Routh, I think, didn't want to leave, and they just gave him his walking papers. I think the actor that plays Mick, I can't remember their names right now. I think he was kind of dissatisfied with the way the show was going, or maybe his payday or whatever it is. But they kind of just ushered him out the door too. So all we got left is Katie Lotz. I've always said Katie Lotz is enough. I love Katie Lotz. I think she's great. I always loved seeing Sarah Lance. Was so devastated when they killed her off. She's been a ray of sunlight in the Arrowverse since she first appeared as Black Canary way back in the second season of Arrow. She goes back that far. And there's a sense of loyalty from me that, as bad as Legends get, I want to see Katie Lotz. I want to see her do good. I want to enjoy watching her. There's going to come a time when Sarah Lance is not going to be on TV anymore. I kind of feel like at this point they already said everything they have to say with Sarah Lance. This is not even the Sarah Lance that starred in Legends of Tomorrow, much less starred in Arrow. Within the past 3 or 4 years, they've done some really weird things. We always knew that she was bi, but they've given her a romance with a clone, where I don't know. I guess they're married now. I don't remember. The episodes kind of come and go through my mind like a sieve. Uh, and she's an alien now. I guess spoilers for this, but she kind of got recloned as an alien with the same memories of I don't know. I kind of feel like they don't have anything else to say with the story, the saga of Sarah Lance anymore. Uh, this character really, honestly, should have been Black Canary. They promised Katie Cassidy, again, who's a great actress in her own right for the CW. I mean, I take nothing away from her, but they really should have just abandoned ship when it came to Black Canary. Made Katie Lotz the Black Canary. And just, because Katie Cassidy did show some great chops when it came to being Black Siren, and the character was basically reinvented for uh, later seasons of Arrow. So again, to take nothing away from her, but they should have just stuck with that ball and ran with it. But they kind of had obligations to Katie Cassidy, so they spun her out of the show and onto Legends, and they kind of pushed out Rip Hunter, who I thought was unceremoniously axed from the show. I think that was the beginning of the end for the show, to be honest with you. It kind of lingered another, I would say, 2 seasons after that. So maybe the first 4 seasons were okay. Then the show just like really spiraled out of control, and they're just playing it as wacky as they want to now. As bad as I've said that this is, last season was actually pretty good. I don't think they really stuck the landing, but the concept was that they were going back to the 20s, the 1920s, and they were going to like stop robots from substituting important people in the past. It felt fresh. It felt a little bit better than what they've been doing the past couple of seasons. Then near the end, they kind of started going back into their old ways of just doing weird stuff, and we got to push the bisexual characters and make sure that those romances are really put up in the forefront. And they really kind of got unwieldy. They did a real terrible show about like reality TV, where they kind of spoof reality TV, which was possibly the worst episode of Legends of Tomorrow, let alone in CW Arrowverse history. But I think it was certainly the worst of uh, Legends of Tomorrow fame. So again, I don't see too much promise going forward with the show. I just have a selfish attachment to Katie Lotz, and that I want to see her continue on. At this point, probably the best thing for her is if she would, maybe get onto a different show in the CW and put that storyline to bed. I don't know. As far as Batwoman is concerned, Batwoman has been living on borrowed time from the beginning. It was a failed concept from the beginning. Of course, the idea was originally the cousin of Batman, Ruby Rose, and she was going to play Kate Kane, and all the drama and craziness that happened when, you know, Ruby Rose left the show, and they had to bring in a new actress and a whole different approach. Uh, it was the wokest thing you'd ever want to see. They're playing up the LGBTQ stuff. They're playing up the Black Lives Matter stuff. It was just not really the most pleasant show, either with Ruby Rose or with Javicia Leslie. Is that her name? But again, this is a show that I continue to watch out of some kind of misplaced loyalty to Rachel Scarsden, who plays Alice. And she's just the only good thing about that show, quite honestly. Quite frankly, it's a disaster. Now, again, I think this season of Batwoman has actually been better than the last two. Now, you might say that's like low hanging fruit or something that, it can't possibly get worse, can it? It's not, it wasn't a great season, but I think that they had an interesting storyline with Marcus and sort of trying to give Ryan her own arch nemesis and it coming from her family and so forth. But again, the only thing that keeps me watching that show is that Rachel Scarsden, bless her heart, plays Alice on this show as if she's playing the Royal Shakespeare Company's version of Macbeth. Honestly, she gives 110% to the show when it is well and truly beneath her. And she should be well served going elsewhere. But as far as I know, if the show comes back, she'll probably be back on it. The way the season ended, they have Alice sort of walking off into the sunset. Maybe she won't be back if the show does come back, but the show seems to have tied up all the loose ends. The only thing they really didn't discuss is, I think, what happened to Jacob. He's still in jail or something, and honestly, nobody remembered Jacob 10 minutes after he left the show. You know what I mean? So, quite honestly, I don't think that's something that they're going to be concerned about. But I don't know. I think Batwoman, they provided the closure for the show. I think they don't expect to be asked back. And I'm fine with that. I think, again, we've done pretty much what we can do with Batwoman. Again, we keep getting these shows, Batman shows without Batman. And we didn't need Batwoman. We didn't need Gotham. And we're not going to need Gotham Knights, which we're going to talk about in just a moment once I wrap this up. Let's see. Legends concluded with a booster gold tease for the next season. So, the intention, in other words, is probably for Legends to go on again. Like I said, I think they will get another season. The thing is, you have to remember that the CW, this is fine with them. They'll let them run for like 20 seasons. They don't care. The problem is the show, the network is being sold. And so usually would be told early, much earlier in advance, that all these shows are coming back. Since the network is being sold, they don't want to be able to make that commitment, because the powers that be might say, why are you renewing this show? It's got a 0.9 or something, or for viewers, it's doing lousy, and they don't want to justify that. So they kind of are hedging their bets that they'll be able to play ball once they get bought up. Of course, as for Stargirl, the show's third season has yet to premiere. It's in the can. Third season of Stargirl is coming. So it is too soon for news on a fourth. That's another show that I don't think Stargirl is going to have as long a run probably as some of these CW shows. But again, that's another one that's guaranteed probably about 6 seasons at least before they might start, calling it a day. So again, nothing to worry about until probably midway through April, maybe the beginning of May. We should hear an answer about whether these shows are coming back or not. Like I said, I'd like to see Legends come back, maybe to wrap up the show with another season. They did well enough last season, maybe to earn that. Batwoman, probably done. I don't think they're coming back. They may or may not factor going forward. I mean, maybe they'll do a crossover with Batwoman somewhere, somehow. I don't know. But that's the way I see it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think either of these shows are coming back? Do you think either of these shows deserve to come back? Which is probably the bigger question. And will you be watching? Have you watched at any point in the most recent past? I feel like I always say this, but I feel like I should have a participation award given by the CW for actually watching all these shows. The only one I don't watch is Naomi. I'm not going to go that far. Come on. At a certain point, you have to say no mas. And as far as I know, Naomi isn't particularly capes and costumes. So I'm going to be a little bit more judicious, so to speak. All right, we're going to talk about Gotham Knights for a minute now. Supernatural actor Misha Collins has a role on another CW series, this time Gotham Knights. Collins took to his social media to announce he'll be playing classic Batman bad guy Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, in the upcoming Gotham Knights TV drama. Um, Again, I don't. I've never seriously watched Supernatural. I know of it. I've passed by it on channel surfing. I know of the actor. I know a little bit about the show, but again, I he looks great. He probably will play a great Two Face. Do we need a Batman-less Batman show? Again, they're gonna have to show me something if they want me to get interested in this. I mean, I always give every show a chance. I honestly, I'm honestly fed up though at this point. Do we really need another Batman-less Batman show? The synopsis for the show is, if you haven't heard yet, the 1 hour drama takes place in the wake of Bruce Wayne's murder. So they're telling you right there, he's not going to be in it. I think it's pretty interesting also that this kind of sets it against the Arrowverse, which has Bruce Wayne missing but not necessarily dead. Back to the synopsis. His rebellious adopted son, again, we don't know who this is apparently. Is this Dick Grayson? Is this well, it's probably not going to be Damian, it's adopted son. I don't know. His adopted son forges an unlikely alliance with the children of Batman's enemies when they are all framed for killing the Caped Crusader. As the city's most wanted criminals, this renegade band of misfits must fight to clear their names. In a Gotham with no Dark Knight to protect it, the city descends into the most dangerous it's ever been. However, hope comes from the most unexpected of places, as this team of mismatched fugitives will become its next generation of saviors, known as the Gotham Knights. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like, what is that show from Disney? Uh Disenchanted or something, where they have like, you know, Cruella Deville's daughter meets Gaston's son meets Maleficent's daughter or whatever, and they all get together and they're nice kids and they're gonna do good things. And I guess that's kind of where they got the idea for this, right? It 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 sounds just like that premise. Is that going to work with Batman villains? I don't know. Two Face's son, son of Two Face. He likes to wear, half stripes on one side, half checks on the other side of his suit. I don't know. What are they going to do? Joker and Harley's kid. She wears, green hair, but in pigtails like Harley. I mean, that's kind of what I'm envisioning, but I guess this is not a Disney show, so this is probably not going to be quite as bubblegum or something as it could possibly be. I don't know. Let me know what you think about this casting. Let me know what you think about this premise, Gotham Knights. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I just don't know. All right. Moving right along once again. Moving right along. We got a little bit of news. I'm a big fan of Masters of the Universe. Everybody knows that. Probably my favorite 80s property. And yeah, I mean, He-Man's gone through the ringer basically since Filmation stopped, doing the show. He's been put through the ringer, and ever since he's been on Netflix, prospects haven't been any better. But they're apparently doing a I don't know, is it a show or is it a movie about He-Man now on Netflix? Live action show. Let me see what it says. We'll read the copy together. Here we are. CBR recently spoke to the Lost City directors about their plans for the live action He-Man adaptation. Aaron was quick to point out that one of the most important things to them is that we are unapologetic that it is a wild, wacky property, that these characters are colorful and crazy and weird. It was then he made an interesting comparison to another fantasy franchise. We didn't want to try and tone that down or try to make it into Lord of the Rings and change everybody's names or something, but instead embrace that that's one of the things that's singular about it and special about it. He added, it's very important to us tapping into why, as kids, these toys and these cartoons meant so much to us. One of the things that we're super fortunate about is that we are not the only ones who are Masters of the Universe super fans. So there are lots of very talented people who just have been waiting their whole life to jump in and be part of making the movie. All right, so I guess it's a movie. So again, this sounds pretty good. Again, I they've had a new script and He-Man cast for every single color in the rainbow or star in the sky. I don't know. I don't want to get too hopeful this is actually going to come to anything this time, but it looks like it could be. It looks like it could actually be. And it sounds good that they're treating it like they're not going to try to grim and gritty it. They're not going to try and make it serious. We can't, we don't want to have the character called Buzz Off anymore. Crazy names are part of He-Man, and the crazy looking characters too. I mean, I hope one of the things I like is like making sure Orko is represented properly, making sure Cringer can talk, having the transformation scenes be as authentic to the cartoon as possible, because that was the whole thing. We kind of lost that in society in the hero myth, the transformation. I mean, when I was a kid, that's all you had was the transformation. He-Man, by the power of Grayskull, he gets hit by lightning. The dude gets hit by lightning. I have the power. And every little boy wanted to do that. And I think every little girl too, because that's why She-Ra became a thing. She-Ra was powerful and became popular because she was so powerful. And again, going back to that era, the Incredible Hulk. Everybody loved the transformation scenes, the white eyes, Bill Bixby turning into Lou Ferrigno. Wonder Woman again, like another lightning flash, and she spins around, lightning flash, and now she's Wonder Woman. Superman, the shirt rip became so famous that I think almost every superhero has aped it at some point. And the transformation is key. That's part of the mythological makeup of the character, trying to, the desire, in other words, to be more than what you are, to become something more powerful and stronger. It's primal, and they lost that somewhere. It's like all heroes nowadays are like mopes, and yeah, I don't know if I can do it. No, you can do it. You're Superman. You know what I mean? You're He-Man. It's in the job description. You can do it. You know. So let's stop with this nonsense. So if they stick to that anyway, I think it'll be successful, and I hope it'll be pretty good. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments about He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. Are you looking forward to this? What do you want to see in a He-Man movie? I guess it's a movie. Let's see. Next up, Ant-Man 3. Ant-Man 3's David Dalmastian. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name, I swear. I pronounce it different every time, but David Dalmastian confirmed that he has not been asked to reprise the role of Scott's friend Kurt in Ant-Man 3 Quantumania. Now, I knew this was coming because T.I. has run afoul of the cancel mob. Now, I don't remember the whole story of why he's been canceled. He abused his wife or girlfriend or something. I honestly don't remember the specifics. So again, if it's true, I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, yeah, that's kind of a scummy thing to do. And I'm always kind of on the side of, well, just, separate the art from the artist. If T.I., as long as he didn't kill somebody, you know what I mean? That's if he's a convicted murderer, I know, that's kind of why people don't like it when I say the same thing about Amber Heard. She's a crappy person. I understand. She cut off Johnny Depp's finger, I think, allegedly, I guess I have to say. But does that mean she should be fired from Aquaman 2? No. I want to see her as Mera, and I kind of want to see T.I. as whatever his character's name was. I don't even remember. But they're probably writing David out, Kurt out, because they don't want to have the three wombats as they were affectionately known. And it's a shame, but that's cancel culture for you. Now, again, you don't have to love the guy. You don't have to approve of how he treated his spouse. And the same thing with Amber Heard. but you don't take a job away from somebody because you don't like what they did. I mean, that's kind of my outlook on it. And again, a particularly heinous crime, maybe, but domestic disputes, I don't know. Is that enough? Is that enough to say this person should never work again and we're gonna cancel them? And, I don't know. If you killed somebody or you did something like really, really bad, which I don't even want to speculate, yeah, maybe. But these kind of things, I don't know. I mean, that's why they don't have that problem with the sports world. The NFL, you get guys that are like beat their wives and then they're still playing in the Super Bowl, and you got guys that are, they were involved in some kind of a homicide and then they still get to play. I don't know. I kind of feel like those rules kind of in a way those rules should apply to the movies too, because I'm like I don't know. I mean, I don't like having to pretend in the fictional world that, oh, well, Ti just went off to, meet his grandmother, and she needed help fixing the toilet or something. You know what I mean? Or we're supposed to pretend, oh, well, Mira got hit by the, ray of argon, and now her face looks surprisingly like Elizabeth Olsen or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, that's, you just keep the hand that was dealt you. And a lot of people are afraid, oh, the film is not going to do good. Trust me. I mean, the ladies want to see Jason Momoa. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people boycotting Aquaman, to be totally honest with you. But if it happens, it happens. I mean, let the chips fall where they may. The actor said of his involvement in Ant-Man 3, it doesn't look like it'll happen, but that's okay. I know they're making something incredible. I can't wait to see what Peyton does next. He's one of my favorite directors. He's been so busy. I have tried to stay in touch, but he's making an incredible film right now. All right, so yeah, let me know what you think about David Dilmashian's uninvolvement with Ant-Man 3 Quantumania. I don't know if we talked about this before. This is just kind of a tidbit, but we'll talk about it briefly here before we start to wrap up. The She-Hulk has been revealed, kind of. I mean, I guess you can't call this a reveal when it was by some product. A thermos of the She-Hulk was unearthed somewhere, and this is what She-Hulk's going to look like. I think she looks cute. I think it's good. I don't know if we put this on screen before, but I was worried. I was seriously worried. I thought they were going to make She-Hulk look like the big, brawny, uh, non-gender conforming version of She-Hulk that they've been putting in the comics the last couple of years, I guess. But no, she looks feminine. She looks, she looks cute. I think you got my interest. I think I'll check it out, the She-Hulk. As I've always said, I always liked the original She-Hulk run, Savage She-Hulk. That was my favorite. When she was still kind of, when she was still serious. I think we're going to read in the copy in just a minute, but I think the John Byrne version, where she's like a sort of a slapstick, what I always refer to as the Jane Mansfielding of She-Hulk, uh, that became popular, and ever since then, the character has been sort of more of a tongue-in-cheek character. She's a big green Jane Mansfield and not necessarily a superhero, not necessarily a struggling character. This probably sounds surprising to people because I usually take the other vantage point on these things, because I think things are too grim and too serious. We'll talk about that in a moment with our final subject, but I think She-Hulk was originally supposed to be more in line with the Incredible Hulk. It was about transformation and not being able to control your power and having to deal with the problem of power. Then it became just sort of slapstick comedies, almost on the level of Deadpool, where it was just yuck, 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 and oh boy, a 7 foot tall green Amazon woman. Oh boy, is she hot. How great is this? That's kind of what it became. And I I don't know. I don't think there's very much creativity in that. I think if you're going to do a comedy, do it elsewhere. Do it with something else. Do it with Guardians of the Galaxy where nobody knows those characters. And if you want to play up the kind of like yuck, 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 do it there. She-Hulk, I think, was meant to be more closely tied to the Hulk. And I think you need to have that connective tissue. I think if you do something way beyond the pale of what the spin-off character is, because this is a spin-off character. This is the spin-off character of the Hulk. And if you're going to make her like completely the opposite of the Hulk, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. I don't think anyway. So Jeff Snyder on his podcast claims to have heard that there are issues with She-Hulk that are causing concern in Marvel Studios. He alleges, I've heard not good things behind the scenes, and I've asked whether it's Moon Knight or Ms. Marvel or Secret Invasion or any of these projects. They're always like, She-Hulk is the one that could be a problem. I've heard it from people working on it, from people actually working on it who are just like, we'll see. I think that's a lot of Marvel things, honestly. And you know, where it's just like, this could be really stupid. Like, we'll see. I'm sure people making Guardians of the Galaxy felt that way, right? And most of the time, Marvel pulls it out, but there will come a time where they won't. That's just the law of movie making, the law of numbers. So apparently, yeah, they're going with this really slapstick, silly version of She-Hulk, I guess. And again, depending how they do it, it might work, it might not. It might appeal to the people that liked the original run of the original John Byrne run, where he did a more slapstick, goofy, sex symbol She-Hulk, or people could be kind of more interested in what I'm talking about, which is the original She-Hulk run, which was a lot more entertaining, in my opinion. All right, so let me know what you think about that. We're going on overtime here now because I'm long-winded, but we're going over an hour. Let's talk about our final topic. This made big news. I really don't care about this at all whatsoever, so this probably won't take me too long to talk about. But the Batman has Matt Reeves, the director of the Batman, has released a deleted scene from the movie that reveals the Joker, the Matt Reeves version of the Joker, at any rate. And I can't remember the actor's name now. I can't remember his name, but I can't remember the guy's name is. He was brought in to play the Joker in a cameo in the movie. Apparently, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. And they cut that down, I think, considerably to, I guess, just seeing him briefly from the back or something. I don't know. This is actual, footage where you can see him. And honestly, it looks ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. I don't like when they do stuff like this. And quite honestly, I've heard mixed things from the fandom. Some people are saying, oh, this is going to be great. And other people are saying, I hope they don't bring this into the subsequent sequels. I don't know what their plans are for the sequels. But again, people see this and they still act like, oh, Matt Reeves is going to do a wonderful Mr. Freeze. He's going to do a wonderful Clayface, Poison Ivy. Bring them all on. He can't even give us a reasonably accurate take of the Joker. And not for nothing, but this doesn't surprise me since he didn't do a particularly accurate take on the Riddler. So do you want to keep handing him the keys to the kingdom so he can keep making these ridiculously far removed from the concept versions of these famous Bat villains? I joked. I mean, I can imagine Matt Reeves walking in with his makeup designer and saying, work with me now. Try this. You're going to like this. I know what the Joker needs. Pustules. I mean, really, the guy, why? Why are you doing this? Why do you need to have the Joker have these kind of like diseased lips and craggy features, and he looks like his head got caught in a lawnmower. The back of his head looks like it's all stitched up and his hair is falling out. And I don't get this. I don't understand. But see, the problem is they want to keep making the Joker as repulsive as possible, and I think it's a reflection on the way they've made him more and more depraved. Because this wasn't a thing when I was a kid, anyway. I mean, when you read Joker in the comics in the 70s, the 80s, even the early to mid 90s, before I kind of gave up on the genre, Joker was not a scary dude. Joker was a funny guy. And I always say this, and I said this on Twitter, but Paul Dini had the best take, I think, on how the Joker is. He said, he's Captain Hook. He's a guy that you think is funny. You think, oh, he's kind of cool to pal around with. He's a laugh a minute, right up until he pushes you in front of a moving bus, and he does it just for laughs. That's kind of what the Joker is. The Joker is not supposed to be scary. Now, when I say scary, I mean he's not supposed to be repulsive. He's not supposed to be off-putting by looking at him. A clown in the dark is scary no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are. But trying to make him repulsive and trying to make him look freakish has only been done in the last, I don't know, has it been 20 years maybe? I know they had the comic run of him like stitching up his face with a new face, and I don't know. They're constantly trying to do that. I know the Arkham Asylum video games, they've had him looking very homely as well, like very craggy looking skin, and I don't see that, and I don't know why we need that. That is not really necessary. The Joker is supposed to look like a clown. Now, we did get a pretty decent, I think a decent appropriation of that with Joaquin Phoenix. They added some stuff to it by putting, I don't know, some blue under his eyes or whatever. But if you just have that normally painted on face, because I never liked the Heath Ledger makeup. I never liked it. It just looked like he put two hands full of, white paint, smeared it on his face, slicked his hair back with some green grease, and put some black stuff around his eyes. It didn't really evoke the Joker to me, and I think they're getting further and further removed from the traditional Axis Chemicals origin. That's why I had high hopes for the Jared Leto Joker, because they were at least going back to the Axis Chemicals, the Ace Chemicals or whatever it is, making his skin bleached and his hair green and all that. And I said, well, maybe that'll be the old school shot in the arm that the character has needed. But unfortunately, it didn't seem to work out. The Jared Leto Joker was not that good, understandably, but there are all kinds of things they could have done to sort of improve that character. But, again, David Ayer was not the man for that character. I don't think he understood the Joker. And of course, you can't lay it all at his feet, because there was a lot of, you know, cut and paste going on there after the fact, with WB hiring different editors and so forth. But again, it was his idea to do the whole sort of punk gangster with tats and grills, and I don't think he understood the character that well in the first place. But it's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening like this, where we keep getting people reinventing the Joker to look more and more hideous, more and more depraved, does more and more heinous things. The Joker, as I've said this a million times, and I think people are probably tired of hearing me say it, but at the risk of angering the edgelords, Batman and the Joker are meant to be children's characters for children's entertainment. They're not supposed to grow up with you. They are supposed to be represented on lunchboxes, pajamas, action figures. You're supposed to be appealing to a broader audience than just a bunch of 38-year-old edgelords. And to continually go in this direction, how are you going to get a kid interested in Batman? I don't know how, because they are continually making these films further and further removed from the original intended target audience. The intended target audience was always families, family viewing. And, the argument always is, well, we can't do 60s Batman again. And they tried to, and when they did, it was Schumacher's Batman and Robin, and of course that didn't turn out too well. I didn't hate it, but again, it didn't really turn out too well in all honesty. But again, they're overcompensating by going so far in the opposite direction that we're never going to get that family friendly Batman movie ever again. Potentially, anyway. So let me know what you think about this Batman Joker from the Batman. Is this something you want to see going forward? Or are you like me thinking that maybe we've gone as far as we can with the demented Joker, the hideous Joker, the looks like he got his head caught in the lawnmower Joker, and maybe we can move back now to a more fun take. I mean, because we know it can be done. It was done in Batman the Animated Series. I think large portions of Batman Forever showed that you can have a Batman who is not entirely with his head in the grass, like a stick in the mud. You can have an interesting Batman that doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, so mopey and depressed that he makes his audience as mopey and depressed as he is. All right, so that's going to do it. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Sunday evening now. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you let me know in the comments, too, if you enjoyed the show. If you want to check out the show, we usually do it every weekend. It's usually Saturday, although lately I've been having to do it Sunday because for some reason my battery chooses to conk out on Saturday. I think I use it too much all week, and then it needs a day off. So my laptop battery needs a Sabbath. There you go. So sometimes it'll be Sunday like tonight. But again, thank you for joining us. And until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.